I'm here for the second part of the interview with Rabbi Avraham Shmuel Levine of Tel Aviv, who's telling us a little bit about his life story and also his work. We'll hear now more. Continue. So this was the end of that Yechidus.
Yeah, and then I went to Chabad.
Okay. 1965.
Now, I want to give you a little
background.
Before I left to Chabad,
yes,
my Chaverim of the Kita, they said, "You're going to Chabad, so you're going to be about Rabbi Shlomo Chaim." He was the Mashpia there.
Yes.
And you should know that Rabbi Shlomo Chaim is considered a nifrid. And because
a nifrid means that he is someone who's not. He doesn't consider the Rebbe as his Rebbe, but rather looks at the Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe as his Rabbein. In Chabad, we call that nifrad.
Also because
separate.
Because he didn't encourage people to go to the Rebbe.
Right. He didn't encourage the Bocharim to come to the Rebbe for the holidays, for Tishrei.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Now, what?
So friends of yours told you this.
Yeah, so they told me. So remember, you're going to Chabad. You stay away from him. Don't have anything to do with him because you also become a nifrid.
Because you'll become a nifrid too.
And I was a sport bocher of 16, 17 years old, so this makes an impact. So that's what happened. I was there, and I stayed away. And I stayed away for I said Shalom Aleichem and all that, but I didn't go to ask him questions. I don't remember if I went to his Farbengans. Maybe I did go to Farbengans. I sat in the back. So that went on for, let's say, for the first month. Then I had to write to the Rebbe. So I wrote to the Rebbe about something, and then I asked him a personal shayla aveda.
Yeah, you asked a personal question in a way to conduct yourself as serving God.
Yeah. So the Rebbe said, "Al pi roas hatzas hamashpia."
Based on, you should get your advice from the mashpia, referring to Reb Shlomo Chaim Kesselman.
Yes. The moment that he told me that,
the Rebbe told you that.
The moment the Rebbe told me that, everything that my friends told me
was
bottled.
Right. Was abolished.
It's abolished. He was my mashpia, and I'm going to be close to him. And I became very close to him. And what I found out is that people didn't know. Now it's already published in the Igris.
Right.
That the reason that he didn't send people to the Bochum, to the Rebbe right away, he said, first you have to know how to learn, Chassidus.
Yeah, to Dalfin.
And then you'll be a keli to be mekabel when you go to the Rebbe. But not stumble. And what is now revealed is that this he did on the hero of the Rebbe.
That the Rebbe instructed him to do that.
Not to
right. Okay. Now, I'm just curious, you became close to him.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see something, like you say you were close to Rabbi Yoel, then became close to Rabbi Shlomo Chaim. For a moment, could you talk about, was there a difference to you?
Oh, sure. Rabbi Shlomo Chaim was more Avedediker type, Skafia, Cheshbon Shalamita, before you go, Cheshbon Nefesh, Cheshbon Shalamita.
Make a Cheshbon Nefesh, an account of your day each night.
And
Rabbi Yoel was about his kashrus.
Yeah. And but what I saw afterwards, when I used to get a letter from the Rebbe, and I would get the Rebbe would answer me every month. Whatever I wrote, he answered.
Every time.
Yeah. And so I have those letters.
I'm sure.
And so I would go to Shlomo Chaim, and when I tell him about certain things that I had a question, and I didn't show him all my letters, but it was a letter that I had a question. I went to him, and I remember that he said to me, just a moment before he looked at it, just a moment.
He put on his garment.
He put on his garment, his hat, and then
he looked at the letter.
Okay. So that shows you what kind of
nifri he was.
Yeah, but I want to tell you a certain story. I mentioned this a lot of times at Farbengans with people. I remember that year, the end of that year, there was the kvutza, the older, like the kvutza that were older than me was like Zalman Gopin, Ichigro, Levine, and they were in the kvutza when I was in the Kfar Chabad. They were in the kvutza then. The kvutza used to be from Pesach to Pesach. So They came in 1960, Topshin Chov Hey. And I was still in Chov Hey. I didn't know them then. I got acquainted with them for Chabad. But when they came back, Avraham Alta Heber from Chabad, he was also that. And what I remember is that they were sitting, they were apparently mushpa, influenced by the atmosphere in 770, that Shlomo Chaim is an ifrit, and you shouldn't pay attention to him. So there was some of the Bochum, I'm going to mention names, before they went to the Kvutza, they were very, very close to Shlomo Chaim.
Yeah.
When they came back, they didn't recognize him.
Right.
And they would be sitting in the back, and they would be during Fabrenkins.
And talking.
Shlomo Chaim hated it very much when he gave a Shir Tanya, or it was Fabrenkin, if you talked, it irritated him very much.
Right.
And they were sitting in the back and talking, and he didn't say anything at first. But then there came a point, it was even based Thomas Fabrenkin. There came a point that, he platzed, he got up, and with tears in his eyes, he understood why they're
right.
He looked at them.
He addressed them.
And with tears in his eyes, he says, "What do you want from me? How can you expect me to be Mekusha to the Rebbe like you, when the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, previous Rebbe, was my father?" I mean, I didn't, he cried, mamash. But then, it didn't take half a minute. He changed over right away. He became firm and strong, and he screamed at them. He says, "But one thing I want to tell you, no matter how much you think you're Mekusha to this Rebbe, to the Rebbe, who's a Rebbe, I'm Mekusha to him 10 more times than you are. Mit was seid ihr Mekusha zu him? Ihr lernt, ihr davent, was Mekusha, was? Wie viel ihr seid Mekusha zu him? Bin ich 10 Mal mehr Mekusha. I mean, that was strong, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
That was,
Right.
Yeah.
So, these letters that the Rebbe answered you, they were in detail or just like general ichulim, general wishes?
No. One time was there were usually michtav kloli, others got it too, but at the end
he added
personal things. Yeah.
Right. But let's say if you wrote to him about a personal matter.
He answered me too.
Yeah.
He answered me too, and I remember the very first 2 letters that I got. So he said that you should steig, you should learn. So I'm sure if you continue your guide to Motzoso and you learn V'sedaf Tzayim, so you'll be Matzliach.
So it sounds to me like the other Bocharim that went to Kfar Chabad, the Rebbe didn't tell them to write to him every month.
I don't know. Probably.
Why do you think he told you this?
I don't know.
What do you think?
What?
What do you think?
Maybe this because you have to learn.
But you weren't a big learner.
Yeah, exactly. But then I really went into it, and I was always the years I was in Kfar Chabad, I was always getan for Welt.
Yeah, you completely removed from worldly matters.
In those days, I could never imagine that I would be working in the UN or in the Knesset or an editor in English of the Jewish press, or even have to do the Chabad. I've never I thought I would remain either as a Maketshir or as a Mashpia or whatever.
Right, in Kodesh.
Or whatever, or remain in my world, in Chassidus, and have my shur in learning Gemara or Teisvis, the Shainim Achreinim. But I didn't, I would never think I would go out to the world.
Right.
Now,
one second before you say, how many letters do you have of the Rebbe? Do you have any idea? Like 30, 40?
No. Take a look.
Every month you wrote to the Rebbe?
24. 20.
20. Yeah, you were saying something. You're saying now.
So I was there, and
so how many years were you in Kfar Chabad?
Well, from Toshin Chavov till Toshin Chavches.
So 2 years.
Yeah. From.
So you were 18 when you finished, right?
I think a little 19.
19.
I was there during the 6-Day War.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Shlomo Schwartz was there?
Yeah, Shlomo came later. Yeah, Shlomo
and Bruce Wankin?
No, Bruce Wankin.
Kasriel Bruce Wankin?
I don't think
What about the name Rabbi Yosef Schwimmer? Yossel Schwimmer. Because he was there in Tafshin Chav Tes. I guess it was after you. Yeah, he lives in Borough Park today. Talmud Chacham, he's a fine, he gives shiurim, he comes to daven by us. Okay.
So,
you remember the 6-Day War?
Oh yeah, I remember it good. And the funny part about it is that, you see, in the 6-Day War broke out in Sivan.
Yeah.
Or Eir, I'm sorry.
Eir,
1967. And 3 months before that, in Chodesh Oder, I wrote to the Rebbe that I want to come
back to America.
Back to America. So the Rebbe said...
What, you knew before that there's going to be a war?
No, nothing.
Right.
So I wrote to the Rebbe that I'm going to go back and, back to learn to 770 like everybody else.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe said to me that since...
Go ahead.
He said, speak it over with Dan Holler.
Yeah.
And then the Rebbe added that since... I think this letter is printed in the English. I think it's printed in the English in English